Okay, I did say I was in the mood to do a little bit of blind boxing today. However, I do acknowledge, yeah, I've been kind of on a theme this week, so we might as well see it through and make an entire 3 reviews out of Pteranodons. And I figure this time let's go somewhere in between the other 2 that we've reviewed this week, and we'll look at the Transmetal version of Pterosaur. I didn't get into Beast Wars until they started looking like machines again, and this is one of the first toys for the toy line I actually picked up, so I have very fond memories of the figure. And I get to share a few of them with you today. As you can see, he is mostly cast in a very nice metallic purple plastic. It's a very good color for an evil Pteranodon. It's very important on these guys not to look like a Dinobot, I find. So that was good on them. You can also see a lot of kind of a metallic brown plastic as well as a little bit of gold. And before anyone asks, I've never had a problem with this toy. Everything still transforms. Nothing is fractured or broken on anything. And this guy got played with a lot when I was a kid. So I think it holds up pretty well in spite of how much glitter and swirls are going on in his construction. He's got a lot of weird deco choices too. Like, the green was always kind of strange. It's not Constructicon green, so I don't know. It comes off a little bit strange with the purple. I don't know, it's weird on my eyes. Toward the back, we can actually see where most of the transmetaling is done. It's done up in a nice silver chrome. You can see a few little yellow accents too, which on the butt here kind of looks Insecticon-ish. You'll notice it's actually held up pretty well. Transmetal is kind of infamous for flaking, chipping, and everything, but yeah, for all the wear and tear this thing saw when I was a kid, and for as long as it's been in my collection, the chrome still looks pretty good. Holds up pretty well. I'm actually kind of surprised at this. Form-wise, I really do like it. The whole theme of the Transmetals was, now the Beast mode looked robotic, and the robot modes had some more organic detail to it. Thanks to how this guy transforms, we're mostly going to get machine and not a whole lot of natural-looking shapes to him. But I do really like how the color layout is done here. I like the color combination. Brown and purple and green, a little bit strange, but I think it kind of works for him in some weird way. I'm not even sure how, but works for me. There's other little details here. They painted the wings here red just to give you a little bit of color variance, and there's some chrome details here. They did something strange on the Transmetals just so kids could remember the names of the figures. So Terrorsaur marked proudly on that side of the wing. We go to the underside, you can see some of the molded detailing. Some organics are kind of enduring on the design. So you have some scaling here on the underside of the wing, a little bit in the arm that we'll probably get to in robot mode. Yeah, so there is a little bit left. Little bit of nature still in him. He's got a little bit of playability to him in that he does have an articulated neck that can go up and down, so that works out, as well as a beak that can open up, and it's kind of serrated inside. Not actual teeth, but you get the impression this thing could hurt when it bites down. Thanks to the way the ball joints work, you also have a little bit of wing flapping that can be done, as well as the legs, which tuck up and peg in this way, but of course you can unpeg them and get a little bit of posability out of it. If you want to have him perching, he can actually like fully roost, which I actually really like. I like when they can go a little bit farther than just your standard poses, and especially if they have a beast mode. I think it's important that they can actually get into some kind of poses you recognize the animal doing. So that's nice. So the whole trick to Transmetals was that rather than, a mutant head or big spring-loaded missile launchers or something, instead they gained a vehicle mode. Or vehicle is a little bit of a stretch on most of them. I prefer to call them like a turbo mode or something like that, and that's certainly what we have here. We can rearrange the wings a little bit to make them a little bit straighter and more jet-like. Just like that. We will flip out these panels to reveal VTOL fans underneath. And we can open up the rear section, like so, which reveals some thruster engines that we'll take a closer look at here in a bit. So that, in general, is supposed to be a jet mode. Old ball joints. Yeah, you can see it doesn't really look a whole lot different. The idea is to make the wings look a little bit more full and a little bit more mechanical and kind of jagged-edged in design. So it doesn't really work as a vehicle mode goes, but hey, it's better than Cheetor with cat with engine sticking out outside. So give it credit for that. You know, I could see, like, this is why I call it like a turbo mode, just because it just looks like Pterosaur going a lot faster. And that's mostly because here in the rear section, he's got a lot of booster engines now. Like, as it is, you can unfold the claws and you can see it's kind of got a thruster engine designed to it there. But now we got 4 more molded in. I can't even, there we go. You can see it molded in that brown plastic. There's some inside. All over, like, man, this guy should be just mowing through the sky. I don't know how you mow through the sky, but this guy was probably capable of it. But all in all, it's, I don't know. I've seen more impressive and more smart, let's say smarter designs in the vehicle modes. Rat Trap had a neat one, for instance. You know, this one's just kind of, I don't know. Doesn't really do it for me. If you want a flyer that turns into a jet and a beast, go look up Transmetal Waspinator. I'm gonna review him at some point too. So let's get him transformed into robot mode, which is a completely proper mode. We'll unpeg the legs and flip them downward, straightening them out. We can also fold out the feet, just like that. Everything else pretty simple. Beast Wars not the most complex of Transformer series. Though there's a little bit of interesting to him. I'm going to fold this down, and you'll notice it does not quite peg or lock in any way here. What you actually have to do, when you fold up the head, there's going to be a little notch that will slide into that slot in the pelvis, and that is what forms up your robot mode and holds him together, which is an interesting little transformation touch that I didn't see anywhere else. Okay, we can fold that little panel on the back down. Then we straighten out those arms. I'm going to raise the wings all the way up to give him a little bit more of a distinct silhouette. And just like that, we get his feet to hold still. We have our robot mode of Terrorsaur. Kind of a far departure from that little basic figure he had. Some of the silhouette is the same, but he's got a lot going on now. It's very kind of mutant-ish. It's like very kind of like creepy with these long gangly arms and big claws on the hands. It's kind of a pretty big departure from what was a pretty basic appearance in his original toy form. First off, we'll get a closer look at the head. You can see the Pterosaur elements remaining. Like, the character's definitely there, so that's the important part. But they definitely did change it up. It's a lot fiercer than it used to be. I do like that they kept the signature red. That holds the character in a little bit stronger. Yeah, he looks as conniving and power-hungry as ever, though, so that's the Terrorsaur I come to expect. The toy itself now reveals a lot more of the brown plastic thanks to the legs and the chest being visible at the same time. Not a whole lot of visual surprise because it is, it is a Beast Wars toy, and it pretty much uses its beast mode to create the robot mode very effectively without hiding anything. I do like how the body section of the Pteranodon becomes the chest. It works out very well, and you get some more of a classic design style with the beak forming the center chest. This is the kind of toy I always figured, well, they're going to do like a Starscream repaint in Beast Wars. This would probably be it, in spite of the episode where he took over Waspinator, which, now that I think of it, that Transmetal Waspinator needed to be done with Starscream. So why am I keep going off track here? We're talking about Terrorsaur, and the Pterosaur is a cool little figure here. I'm really happy with how he looks. I like how the wings kind of raise up on the shoulders as high spires. You can fold them forward and farther. You can fold them back. It's a nice little design touch you can customize a little bit. The only real detail that shows here a little bit more is some of the yellow on the hips. That's pretty much it. So other than that, yeah, the deco's pretty much all the same. It's all pretty much still here. I do like that there is a little bit more of the gold showing at least. So you do have some color variance, I guess. For articulation, we have a neck rotation, which is very tight on mine due to the age. We have ball-jointed shoulders, which on mine are pretty good despite the age. Interesting how that works. We have an elbow that goes to the 90-degree rotation. Nothing in the waist, but very good hips. Double hinged knees, and then of course we have the feet that can fold in and out in case you want a little bit of stability in the pose. So he does have some decent articulation. This is what Beast Wars first gave us as far as Transformers go. So for actual little features, what else can we do with this guy? Well, I can show you the rub sign, because I always forget to show the rub signs on these toys. He is a Predacon, of course, and the heat stamp's still working. That's always a neat and simple little gimmick. Beyond that, we can give him a little bit of armament. We can fold these all the way down, and that will allow them to snap off of their very light hinge. And now we can kind of squeeze them into his hands like so. There are pegs inside the palms, which allow him to hold them like so. I'll give you a little better look. Right there. Simple as that. Which, aside from his long arms, now gives him these super long wing blades. And I always loved these things. It's an absolutely ridiculous kind of like giant blade weapon. It looks like he's holding just like pieces of shrapnel. But it kind of works. It kind of works for him. I like the little claws on the end. It gives them a little bit of a vicious look to them. And they do make passable blade weapons. The reach on this guy is insane. I love just like how far out he can actually get these things extended. It's enormous. Like this guy, he had such an unfair advantage in every fight I had as a kid with my toys, just because he could probably he could probably cleave someone in half from across the room. I always liked that. I thought that was a good use of the wings, and I kind of like how the wings kind of fall off of the arms, but it's a nice way of cleaning up the toy, giving him a unique weapon, and still kind of keeping to the overall theme of the character. I was a fan, and I still am. So I think that pretty much wraps us up. That is our Transmetal Pterosaur. Never had the original Terrorsaur. Never really wanted the original Terrorsaur after this guy, because, man, this was such a cool figure. Still is. If you can track him down in any of his various repaints, there's a slight retool in Armada, slight retool in Beast Machines, now that I think of it. Yeah, the mold's been around, but I think it's worth picking up. On second thought, better not the Armada one. I don't know what it is, but the color scheme on that one just completely went out the window.